So we are live. Hello, hello. Welcome, Remote Work Europe people, Remote Work Spain. It's great to have you with us for this webinar, which is all about everybody's favorite topic, filing your taxes. It's simply the most exciting and exotic thing you'll do all year. No, I'm only kidding. It's one of the most essential things you'll do all year. But the good news is it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be strange. It doesn't have to be difficult, because we're partnered with Xolo Spain. And we have with us from Xolo today, Sade, who is going to take us through everything that we need to know about how to file that Renta for 2025, because we're filing for last year now, how to make sure that you do that safely, compliantly, on time, completely digitally. And she's going to take us through the whole process with Xolo. Any questions that you have, just pop them in a comment now. I'm going to come back to those questions at the end of the session, and we'll address anything that hasn't already been covered in the slides. So in the meanwhile, I'll ask you to just say hi. Tell me where you're tuning in from. It'll be great to hear from you, where you're listening from to this webinar. Just drop us a comment and tell me where you are. I'm assuming most people are going to be in Spain at the moment, because this is all about filing in Spain, right? So do shout from where you are, but maybe you're thinking of coming. Maybe you're looking ahead to next year's Renta, who knows? And do start dropping your questions in as well. If those questions are not appropriate for this webinar, if somebody's asking something too personal or, about their own tax return, then we'll probably direct you to contact Xolo directly. But if they're general things that we can help with in an informational way, because everything in this webinar is information, it is not tax advice given to you as an individual, right? You need to contact Xolo directly and personally for that. So with all of that said and out of the way, I'm going to hand over to Sade to tell us all about how to file that Renta. Welcome, Sade.
Thank you, Maya. And I think that we are ready to do a podcast here as well. So, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining. As Maya said, we are going to talk all about Renta this year in Spain. So, if you are in Spain or are planning to come into Spain and are interested in how these things work, then very, very welcome. And let's begin. So, the whole reason for this is because tax season doesn't really have to be a headache, okay? Because today, what we want to do with this is to demystify the process and have you take control of the finances that you have. So, we will start in this whole series of webinar. Well, not series, this webinar with the fundamentals, okay? Exactly what the annual income tax is, who needs to file it, and how the math actually works. Okay, so you don't get confused by the bureaucracy. From there, we'll dive into the specifics. So, a specific for autonomous and foreign income, whether you are a freelancer or a professional under the Beckham law, we'll show you how to declare international earnings properly and stay compliant. Next, we will look at the good news, deductions and reductions, and I'll show you the practical ways to lower your taxable base and keep more of your hard-earned money with you. We'll also get you to speed on the 2025 Renta updates. So what changed compared to last year, so you don't get caught off guard with any changes that happen. And finally, we will open the floor for all the questions that you might have. And well, if you want to get clarity on any specific situation, you can leave it in the comments. And if I can answer it, then I will do. So let's start. Moving into block one, this is 4 blocks, as you already saw. Let's look at the backbone of the Spanish tax system, the IRPF. And I'm sure that you've heard that is that Impuestos de la Renta sobre Personas Físicas in Spanish. And what is it exactly? So it is a personal and progressive tax. This means that the more you earn, the higher the percentage you pay. I know. It covers your worldwide income, so not just what you make in Spain. This includes your salary, any interest or dividends from investments that you might have abroad or in Spain, and your income as an autónomo if you are, and capital gains from things like property sales or crypto or whatever, like everything, your whole income. So we have to talk also about territoriality in Spain. While the IRPF, this tax applies to everybody across Spain, it is not identical everywhere. Okay, so if you are in the Canary Islands, Ceuta or Melilla, you have specific advantages because of how the tax works in these communities. And also, the Basque Country and Navarra operate under their own foral regimes. So, where you live matters when you are filing your tax, your annual tax. Okay. However, not everything is taxable, so that's good because there are key exceptions. For example, dismissal compensation that it's up to 180,000 euros, that is generally tax-free, and most of public scholarships and total disabilities or partial disabilities, there are benefits, of course, are not taxable. Now, I think that like the big question is who are obligated to file this report, okay? And maybe it is not everyone, it might be someone, but it is if you have a single employer, then and the threshold of your earnings it's over or it's 22,000 sorry euros annually, then you need to file it. If you have multiple employers, so if you're working with one more than one company and you're an employee, that threshold drops to 15,000 something something, and you need to file the report. And if you're an autonomo or receive a minimum living income, if you're based in Spain, then you are required to file this report regardless of your earnings. So no matter how much you earn, then you need to file this report. Okay. In this case, so as practical tip for this section, we recommend to always double check for your exceptions before you start the draft. So where you live, if you have any like special condition, or how much you earn if you're an employee, or if you're an autonomo, like everything, know your case because it's the easiest way, sorry, to avoid mistakes and more importantly, save yourself to pay more than you need to. Now, let's talk about the moment of truth, the outcome. Okay. Once all the data is in, so all you already follow this information, your return will result in one of three things. It could be a refund, right? So this is where the tax agency owes you money. That is the perfect scenario. Zero, that it's the best case scenario, so you don't you don't need to pay anything, so your taxes were done correctly throughout the year. Or it could be an amount to pay. Okay, that sometimes and it's usual that you need to pay something. Let's hope not. But that is the three results that it will come out when you're filing this report. So if you do find yourself with a bill, don't panic. Okay, if you need to pay, if you have an amount to pay, you have three main ways to handle the payments. Okay, first, the single payment. Okay, so after the file it's done and the report is done, you have an amount, then you say, okay, I will pay everything, the whole amount, on June 30th. Okay, so 30 June, that is the day when you pay the whatever you need to pay when you as a result of the renta. The second way that you can handle that payment is to split it. Okay, so it is like a 60-40 split, and it's very popular because there is no interest that applies to this type of payment. So you pay 60% of what you need to pay on June, the same day, the 30th, and the remaining 40% is automatically charged on November the 5th. Okay, so you have two payments, 40% throughout the same year, so on 2026. And the last way to split it, to handle this payment, is the multiple installments. So this way you can split the payment into more than two payments throughout the year. If you need more time, of course, because we understand maybe it's like a higher amount or what you were expecting. You can request to defer debt for up to 24 months. Okay, but keep in mind that while this doesn't require like a bank guarantee or something, it does carry an interest. So when you split it in more than two, the payment, then it will apply an interest rate of 4.025%. All right. So my practical tip for this blog is if you are an autonomo or already have existing debts with a tax agency, please review your cash flow now. Deciding whether to split or defer your payment. Sorry about that.
We're all freelancers. We're used to sharing our offices with our different species of colleagues. I've got a couple of cats listening in now, but they don't pay any taxes at all. Our household pets. We don't get deductions for dependent animals either, do we, Sade?
Actually, yeah, some communities this
Really?
year introduce, how do you say it, like deductions for veterinary bills. So, I mean,
Wow. Okay.
we are starting to open the way to dog moms and dads, and I'm so sorry about that.
I'm impressed. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I didn't know this, but this is why you need to use a professional for your filing, because every
exactly.
community that has its own deductions, its own anything for cats in Valencia. That's what I need to know.
Yeah, well, actually, I think it's Andalusia, the community that introduced these deductions this year. So it's really
well.
good. So, but yeah, you never know when somebody is going to ring the bell on your door. But so as I was saying, and sorry about that, the tip that Xolo has for this bid is that if you already have existing debts, especially if you are an autonomo, you need to review the cash flow. So, because if you're going to split the payment in more than two, it's like, and you already have to pay for the quarterly reports and everything, deciding whether to split or defer your payment early, so before you get to the annual report part, then it's better for you to handle everything and the rest of the year. So knowing your options is the way to keep your business finances healthy. All right. So not dogs are gonna interrupt us anymore. Now we reached the ending room of the tax return, and I love this part because I think everybody, at least at the first sight, gets confused on determining the basis. So what you need to take into account to know what you need to pay, what to deduct, what to reduce, like everything. So to find out what you actually owe, we first have to separate your money into two different buckets, okay? Or buckets or bases, however you want to call it. But the first is the general taxable base, okay? This is where most of your day-to-day income live. It includes, of course, the employment income, like your salary or your economic activity as an autonomo, and any rental income that you receive. Okay, so it's like the main incomes that you have. It also includes something called imputed income. Okay, this is like a phantom tax that the government applies if you own a second property that is sitting vacant, like if you have like a vacation home or something like that. That's the imputed income. Second bucket, so you see it like below, it's the saving taxable days that we are going to talk about later as well. But this is treated differently because usually it has lower tax rates. So it includes like bank interest, stock dividends, or any capital gains you made from selling property, stocks, or crypto. And this is like everywhere. It's not only Spain, it's everywhere. Once we have these totals, we apply the reductions, okay? Reductions and deductions are different, so I'm gonna go over that later. But the reductions are apply, well, the reductions and the personal and family allowances, this is that it's gonna be applied after you have these two buckets, so you have it on the right panel. This is the government's way to acknowledge you need a minimum amount of money just to live and support your family. So at least they know that you need to pay rent, insurances, and these kind of things. So they know, and they allow you to deduct this over the income that you have, and then you can apply other deductions, right? So the result is that of this calculation gives you the gross tax. So this is gross. We aren't finished yet. Okay, to get to the final settlement, then we subtract the deductions. I know, like the big words. So you have the two buckets, general income, then the saving tax, and then the reductions. what happens with the deductions as well? Because deductions are like benefits that can apply to you as a person, because something, you're a special case for the tax agency, or you are living in a place, in a community that has special benefits also for the people living there, like the veterinary bills that I was talking about. But there are general and regional deductions. So, like, I don't know, the energy efficient home repairs and so on. And most importantly, all the prepayments that you've already made throughout the year. So if you're already an autonomous, you know that every quarter you need to pay to the tax agency. So all those payments are taken, of course, into account. And also, if you're not an autonomous, but if you're an employee, the company also does that for you. So you need to say, okay, so the company already paid this, or I already paid this as an autonomous. I don't really have to pay that anymore. Then what you have left is what you need to pay. Okay, the final result, if your payments were more than what you owe, for example, you get a refund. But if they weren't enough, you will have an amount to pay. So this is like how the scales balance for the tax agency in this case. So wrapping it up, it's the general income, then the saving tax, then you deduct the reductions and apply deductions and repayments. I know that this is like a lot of information, but you know what? You know who is good with this? Accountants. But it's also easy for you if you have everything organized already in your finances, in your personal finances. Now, moving to block 2, okay, this is particular and specifically for our autonomous, or all those international workers that are living in Spain, as well as those that are under the Beckham law. So for the autonomous in the room, remember that you're always required to file a return. Regardless of your income level, the key to a successful renta is maximizing your deductible. The deductible expenses, sorry. That this includes anything used only for your business. But also remember that there are things that you can deduct that are personal deductions that you're entitled to as a business owner. So like health insurance or expenses related to work-life balance, like maternity leave or daycare, these kind of things can be deducted, okay? Also, you need to look at any social security adjustments from previous years, just to be clear and just to ensure that your contributions, that, well, at least the ones that you've already made, are correctly balanced against the actual earnings that you have, okay? Especially if you were an autonomous last year, remember that this year you are going to be a new autonomous last year, okay? This year you are going to be regularized. So maybe the flat rate is not going to apply anymore. You need to check that. Next, we have the expatriate workers, or better known as Beckham law. And the big news in 2025 is that this has been extended to digital nomads and entrepreneurs. So if you are under this regime, you don't follow the standard progressive scale that I was talking about earlier, okay? Instead, remember that you file a different form that it's called Modelo 151, Modelo 151. Okay, this is because you don't follow the general rule because of special conditions that are applied to this group. And finally, the foreign income, the people that are living with foreign income in Spain, there are tools that prevent you from being taxed twice. So there is like an exemption that's called SMMP. And there are treaties of double taxation between countries. So you need to make sure that any tax that you have already paid in another country is credited here in Spain as well. So Xolo's practical tip for this vlog would be to go back and check your accounting one last time. So once you reach this step, check everything already. Ensure every single business-related expenses has been uploaded on the platform if you're working with Xolo, or that you have already presented it. And if you missed any receipt in the last year, that means 2025, then now is the last chance to add it. Okay, remember that missing an expense now means leaving money on the table for the tax agency to collect. So we don't want that. We want them to return your money or at least to not pay anything at all. So for the last blog, where we covered the most important 2025 updates, these are the changes that distinguish this year's filing from previous ones. And it's pretty like specific things that, like for high earners, for example, there is a change. So if your taxable base exceeds 300,000 euros, and I hope that most of you here hearing now are in this phase, but if you are there, then the maximum tax rate has increased from 28 up to 30%. Okay, so if you have significant capital gains or dividends abroad, then this is something that you need to watch. Also, we have great news regarding housing and vehicles, because the government has extended the incentives for energy efficient homes. So if you had made any renovations or purchased an electric or plug-in vehicle, then through last year, these are deductions that you can apply to your annual return. So these are really good. And if you earn less than 18,000 euros, 18,276, then the deduction for you in the annual return increased to 340 euros. Okay, so I know it doesn't sound much, but this was specifically designed to compensate for the recent rise in the minimum wage. Okay. Also, quick note on the unemployment, but I hope that you are not there. But if you are, the temporary rule that require many unemployed individuals to file a return are not anymore on. It was removed. Okay, so you no longer required to file the annual return unless there is a standard income threshold that we discussed earlier. Okay. And finally, there are new, like I was mentioning, the regional deduction. So this year's, there are new relief expenses related to the specific illness. Okay, for example, ALS or celiac disease. If you have these diseases, then you have a relief, and you can deduct the several expenses related to these illnesses on the annual return. Okay, this is in several regions, so I'm not sure which one. But you can also always check on the internet or ask your accountant. And there are also new communities where you can deduct gym memberships or sport club fees. So, I mean, it pays to stay healthy. If you are, and if you are a gym maniac, this is something that you want to do and check right now. So for this blog, our practical tip, it would be to never skip the regional section, because Spain is highly decentralized, and you know that regional deductions are often where the most significant hidden tax even are found. So always check your specific region before hitting the button submit. And if you have heard something or if you are unsure, check with an accountant. We've reached block 4. And this is where we focus on the best part of the tax return. So deductions and reductions, as I was already mentioned this is your toolkit for lowering that final bill. So let's distinguish between the two, okay? Base reductions happen before the tax is calculated, okay? They lower the total amount of income that the government is allowed to tax. So that is why that is why it is a reduction. This includes.
Can I ask a question here, because something
Sure.
I'm confused on? Is this where they deduct your social security payments as well from that base?
Yes, because the reduction is everything that it's paid for your common living. For your normal living. Okay, so because you are living in Spain and you are making life, so you need social security to live. This is where the social security payments
comes off the base.
Correct.
Income that's left.
Exactly. So it happens before the tax is calculated. That way, if you, I don't know, if you earn, let's say, 100 euros annually and you pay 20 for Social Security, then the tax agency is going to only tax 80. Okay, this is like in practical mathematics. We don't have, need to
Keep
talk
the
about
numbers easy. Yeah.
yeah. So then that is the total amount of the income that the government is allowed to tax. So these include things also, pension plans, for example, reductions for joint taxation if you file the annual tax report with a spouse. Okay, so if you're living here with your spouse or your partner, and a special reduction for those that are starting new economic activities. So if you started being an autonomous last year, you have a reduction on this annual tax return. Okay, so if you're not sure how much that is, I would recommend to check that with your accountant. Then that is the reduction. Tax deductions are applied after the tax is calculated, so directly reducing the amount you owe. So you've already been taxed with the reductions and the two bases and buckets that we already talked about. Now the deductions can apply. On a general level, we have like the big environmental incentives I mentioned earlier, like deductions for energy efficient renovations on your home or the purchase of electronic cars and so on. If you made investments in this, then you can save a lot this year. But where people miss out the most is in the regional deductions, as I've already mentioned, because every autonomous community has its own rule. So, for example, this year, rent and well, not this year. Some communities have rent. You can deduct it on your annual report, and believe it or not, this is not commonly accepted in all the communities to be deducted. Glasses as well. So people like me that wear glasses can also glasses and contact lenses can be deducted. Veterinary expenses for your pets, and I know this is Andalusia because I was checking. I was making sure if this happened in my community, but it didn't. Specific illnesses, like I was already mentioning, like ALS and celiac diseases, and gym memberships. Gym membership, I think also it's Andalusia, so I would look into that. Maybe Andalusia is the place to live. But there are certain regions, not only one, so you can check where you live and you can access this information on the city hall website. So for this webinar, let's say the practical tip that Xolo gives in this webinar is do not assume that the tax agency has the information. Okay, they don't have it. Okay, maybe they have part of it, but regional deductions are almost never included in your automatic tax draft because you can go log in right now in the tax agency and make the draft. Regional deductions are not generally added. So you have to manually check your community's rule and add them yourself. It takes 10 minutes if you're going to do it by yourself in the tax agency website, but when checking this, it could literally save you like hundreds of euros. So make sure to, it's your money, keep as much as possible. And to wrap things up, I just want to show you how you can simplify your Renta this 2025 with Xolo. We know that everything that we've discussed today, the rules, the deduction can feel overwhelming. It's a lot of information, but our goal is to make the process completely stress-free for you. So first, what we do in Xolo, and this is for clients and also people that are not clients yet. So you can be autónomo or not, and you can hire the Renta with us. And we offer like a guided and secure filing. So we don't just submit a form. We walk you through your tax report step by step, almost like as I already did with this presentation. We walk you with everything that you need to know. Our system is designed to catch the errors to lead to penalties. So with the information that you fill and what we do to make the report, we can catch this information pretty quickly. So giving you this could give you peace of mind that the data that you give us, it's going to be also reflected and reported accurate before it even reaches the tax agency. Second, we focus on optimization. As I mentioned earlier, the government's automatic draft often ignores the best part, so deductions. that might not be there first when you make the draft. In our platform, we have it built to automatically identify every state and regional deduction applicable to your specific life situation. So once you add which community you are living in, then we already know which deductions can be applied based on your situation. And for the autonomous among you, we act as your strategic partner. So we don't just record expenses, we advise you on how to maximize it throughout the year to maximize your savings legally and effectively. So when we do the reports every quarter, we tell you and we see how you're working and how to make the most of it, of course. And for our international community, we provide expert guidance on foreign income and the Beckham law. So remember that this is kind of tricky, like this is not new, but the tax agency always loves to, like look on all the sides. So what we do is that we ensure that the double taxation treaties are applied correctly so you never pay a euro more than you are legally required to. The best part is that everything is online. I know that, I mean, as Maya was mentioning earlier, like you need every receipt, you know what I mean? The invoice, the thing that you forgot that you needed, that now you need it. With Xolo, everything is online and hassle-free. So you can manage your entire tax season from your laptop, and we do the rest. So you have, and you know that the team of expert has your back. Our accountants are amazing, and never gonna stop saying that.
They really are. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have at least that. And well, I've already mentioned this. We'll give you the peace of mind, and you have time to manage your business, to do everything. You have with Xolo online invoicing, our admin and platform, transparency and control of everything, because you see everything before we submit anything. And our team also speak English if you need it. And of course, I mean, if better, it feels more comfortable if your native tongue is not Spanish. But we do also only speak Spanish, of course, because our tax experts are from here. And there is a plan for everyone. So maybe you are not thinking right now, like, how much this is cost, or what do I need to hire Xolo for my freelance work? Well, here are the plans where we can discuss this, of course, with you, because every plan is different and it applies different to every freelancer that exists. And what else do I need to say? Renta is simple with Xolo. So just complete a guide. You just need to log into our website and do a short guide with all the information that you need to report on your Renta. We understand every detail. So just, I mean, you're going to be backed up by us because we stand behind our work. So we take responsibility and support if anything comes up that it shouldn't. But if it does, we are there and you have full visibility of all the process. So you are covered with us. So it shouldn't be complicated. If you are freelancing, of course, we can help you. And if you want to file a Renta as well, we can help you. If you're not a freelance, this is the Maya's link, and she's going to talk about this a little bit. You enter this, you're gonna get something. But yeah, basically, this is it about the Renta. I'm pretty sure that you have a lot of questions. So Maya, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Oh yeah, we got lots of questions. I'm just going to share that link again in the comments, so it's super easy for people to click in. I don't often talk about this €50 bonus that people get for signing up through my link, because I don't feel that's the reason you should choose Xolo. I think you should choose it for all the reasons that Sade's gone through on the previous slide and throughout this presentation. So that's a little extra bonus for you if you do decide to sign up during this link. Say, you can copy it from the screen, or I'm dropping it in the comments again because it's easier sometimes just to click. But yes, there is a financial incentive on your third month. So, by then you've been through the process, you've stuck with it. We have got some questions coming in. So I'm going to put, some of these are probably ones you're going to have to take to an accountant, particularly about specific allowances in specific communities. because I don't think Sade's got all of those in her head, because I don't think anybody should. I think that's probably something you need to use the system for. Here's a more general one. Let's see, can we address this one? Must be a
Yeah.
few people in the situation.
I will be filing as a regular employee this year and moving to autonomous next year. How different those two tax returns are? Not that much. Okay, so because I was in your situation before, I was an employee, then I went autonomous, and then I went an employee again. Not that much. The only thing is that you need to be more on top of what you do this year, like as an autonomous. Because what your company does right now for you, then you will need to do it for you in this year. So
That doesn't just apply to your accounts, that applies to everything in your life.
well, exactly. Exactly. So I think that the main difference is that you're going to understand better what you need to pay and what your company covers when you are an employee with the IRPF specifically. So I think that's the main difference. Okay. And in this case, Marta, I would recommend for you to check with an accountant, at least for the first year as an autonomous, to avoid any issues. But the main difference is that the things that you see in your paycheck that are deducted because the company pays that for you, then as an autonomous, you are the one that pays that every quarter. So that is the biggest change.
Yes, that'll be fun, but it'll be fine with Xolo
Yeah.
looking after you.
I mean, it
So
gives you like a better idea on how everything works
and
at
keep in
least.
touch with Remote Work Spain. We'll help you
Yeah.
through all of this. So
Okay, so Priyanka, let's see. It's my second quarter as an autonomous with DNV. Okay, so we do have a file. Okay, so when, if you just started being a tax resident this year, 2026, then you don't need to file a tax return this year. Okay, so you most
yeah,
likely, if you've done anything on 2025, then yes, you need to do an annual return this year. Okay, because remember that you file the returns for the past year of work. Okay, so if you just started and just arrived in Spain on 2026, then nothing needs to be done on 2026. Okay, next year you will report
come
everything
back
that
here
you've done. Exactly. Next year you
in
will
one
need to
year.
report that. Yeah, exactly.
We'll probably do another webinar. There'll be new deductions, new rules for 2026 filing. So any
Exactly.
changes, we
Yeah,
will
yeah,
update you between Xolo and
absolutely.
Remote Work Spain. But
Yeah,
you don't
so
have to worry
maybe
about it now. Just pay your
exactly,
quarterly
especially if you haven't.
deductions. Priyanka also asked if Xolo can file the quarterly returns. And yes, if you set up your quarterly returns with Xolo during 2025, then when you come to file for 2026, everything will be ready for you. So it'll be very, very easy in 1 year's time for you to carry
Amazing.
on with that. So, okay. We have a question about income. This
Okay,
is
so
probably next year's tax return, but it's an important one for quarterly filings.
yeah, I would like to know where should I put my incomes before autonomous was launched. I had incomes in January and February. Incomes as an autonomous started from March. It would be in the general base. Yeah, it will be in the same. What you need to do here, Angie, is to check if you were an employee that your company file and or withheld the IRPF correctly in those 2 months. Okay, because remember, you still need to pay IRPF, but when you are an employee, the company does that report for you. So you need this information with them. And I would think that's the thing that you will need to check when doing these annual returns this year. And the rest you will need to report it as an autonomous. But as I mentioned to Marta, it will be the same. But the thing is that you need to know who paid the IRPF for the 2 months that you were an employee. You already know that you are the one paying it as an autonomous. Okay, but yes, this is something that you need to check. But if we're talking about 2026, as we already mentioned, you don't need to report this on this annual return. This it needs to be done. We are talking about the returns on the work that you did last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got a year to figure it out. Xolo will help you.
Yeah.
It's a quick question about pensions. I think I know the answer to this one. No,
You
you've
can
got
do
to
it.
pay it in the tax year. Yeah. Yeah. You can pay it on the 31st of December, but you do have to pay to get the deduction. You've got to pay it in the year concerned. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. We have. This is an interesting one about working
Oh,
from
Angie,
home.
I work remotely from home and my rent contract is approved. That means I can deduct some percent of my rent payment. Yes, depending on the square. Yes, I didn't know about this solution before now, so I did not deduct it last year in my quarterly models. Can I add this deduction now? Mm, for the past years, yes. This is going to be the last chance to do it, as we were mentioning. If it happened, I mean, you can deduct rent at this specific scenario as how do I say, like virtual office? No, home office. But
A
yeah,
home office, yeah.
yeah, home office. If you work as an autonomo for in 2025 as an autonomo and you didn't deduct it, you have until now to do this deduction. So yes, you still have time to do this report in this year. No, you need,
Yeah,
like, this is the last
yeah.
chance.
I'm going to point out that that depends on your address being correctly registered, because I had a problem before with an old accountant that the place I was working from wasn't correct with the Social Security. And the other thing is it's tiny. It's based on the actual square meters that you can prove is dedicated to your office. And if,
Yeah.
like most of us, that is the smallest bedroom in your house, then it's
Yeah.
not going to
It's
be
like,
a large amount.
how
It's still
to-
worth doing. And the other thing is, with Xolo's platform, you can deduct that quarterly. You can have that as an expense on your Modelo 130. Once you've got it agreed, what the square meterage, the proportion is that's allowable, then you can just forward in your utility bills and actually have that deducted as you go. You don't have to wait for a year
yeah,
to get that
true.
money back, which was a nice surprise for me when I switched to Xolo,
It is.
to actually be able to get that money back. So it's always good to get money back. So whatever
Always.
happens
Or
now.
at least not pay.
Yes,
Can I
absolutely.
use without hiring a separate account? How? I
I'm
mean,
not, I'm not sure whether NJ means, do you need a separate bank account or do you need a separate
if it's
account?
a bank
I'm not sure.
account,
Maybe if you can clarify that question for us, and we'll try
yeah.
and circle back to it if we have time, I
If
think.
you're talking about banks,
Um,
then yes, of course, you don't need to
yeah,
separate anything. But yeah,
it's quite nice to have a separate bank account
yeah.
for your autonomous stuff. Free agent, I think that's a tax software.
I
I
don't know
think
what
that's
free agent
for
is.
actually, yeah,
If
I'm not
it is,
100%.
if it is, I will say yes, because our platform, it's a tax software. So all you need to do is to have like this information, the invoice and expenses reported there. So you don't need to do much apart from that.
Yeah,
And if you're using like payment gateways such as Stripe, and so you can also integrate it. Those are integrated with our platform as well. So maybe if
yeah,
this is your situation, it could be, but I'm not sure what free agent is, so I will say maybe.
yeah.
But
That's
yes,
one
our
we might
platform
need to
is,
check out.
yeah, our
Yeah.
platform can
Right.
can help you with most of the tax information. Yes.
I mean, if it's one of those AI invoice generating things that tracks your expenses, it's worth pointing out that Xolo can do a lot more than that in terms of actually preparing your return, and
Okay.
also
Very good.
having the knowledge of the regional deductions and all those things that are going to save you money.
Yes.
So
And also the
it
person, the
definitely.
people there, the accountants.
Okay. Where are we? Another question about regular workers. So this is for the tax return, presumably.
Yeah, for tax returns, yes. But that's it. So we can help you with the annual tax returns, and you can hire this without having to be a freelancer or autonomo in Spain. So if you want to do the annual return and you are not sure if you are going to hire an accountant or whatever, Solo can handle that for you, even if you are a regular worker. Okay. So for the annual
Yeah, it's
return,
quite modular, isn't it?
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
can
exactly. You
do.
just need to. There is actually, I think, through the link that Maya shared with you, you can actually go to the Renta link. Maybe I don't know, Delphine, if you know how, but you can just go to a website and there is like a specific button that says Renta, and then you
Okay.
can go and do that.
Yeah, I just had a quick look at that free agent whilst you were answering that question. It seems like that is an accounting software. So yeah, Xolo definitely goes a lot further because of its humans as well. You get bespoke digital platform, but it's operated by
Absolutely,
qualified
yeah.
accountants. So I would definitely, even though something like free agent is probably complies with all the electronic stuff like the Verifactu and so on, with Xolo you get the experienced human who will go into bat with the hacienda if they have to on your behalf and make
And
sure
we're
you
also
claim
integrated with
everything.
Verifacto, so Verifacto is
Yeah.
already with us as well.
So you
So
get all the digital benefits, but it's good to have the actual humans as well on your side if anything goes wrong. And if you've been in Spain a while, unfortunately, it's not so much things going wrong, but it's things that just blow up in your face. Actually, we had one question that just came through to me on a private message. You mentioned that you can deduct the regularizations of the changed Seguridad Social amounts that some people were paying last year for 2023. Does this also apply to people who have to pay back benefits received about COVID when they were on the ERTE? Some people received a benefit in kind and then that was claimed back. Is that deductible from income?
the
That might be
social
a bit technical.
the social security can be expense, yes, but you need to have the, how do you say it, like the bank, um I forgot the word, but the bank slips maybe where the social
Right,
security
so
were
some proof of
collected.
payment or something,
Yes,
you
yeah,
can
because
generate it from your bank, can't you?
it can be generated from the bank. That's the actually one of the only bank slips that we accept, because everything needs to be supported by an invoice. But we know that Social Security doesn't provide this. But yes,
But
this can
it's
be
very
expense
clear
for
who
last
that
year.
you've paid. I suppose it's very clear who
But
you've
as
paid
I
if they've
mentioned,
taken
this
your
is like
money.
the last chance to do those expenses because it is
Yeah,
already
yeah.
like the closure of the financial year.
Yes. This is clarifying the earlier comment. So do you need a separate tax advisor? I think if you're straightforward autonomo, I'm pretty sure you don't, right? I mean, I know that Xolo doesn't act as a tax advisor unless you contract that separately, but I wouldn't
Yeah,
think most people would need it.
actually, with most of the things we can help you with. So yes, you don't really need to have like a separate tax advisor unless there is like a super complex situation that you have, whether you have, I don't know, multiple properties around the world, and then maybe you will need someone to support you as well. But in general, we can
Yeah.
handle everything that related to you being a tax resident in Spain and also a freelancer. So
Yeah.
I would say that we can handle you. You don't need a
Yeah, I
separate.
think it's
But
fair to say. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't have multiple properties around the world, but the only times I've bumped up against it has been slightly on the international front because if it's ever been a case of obviously Xolo Spain is not going to advise me about my tax in the UK or anything like that. Or, I have
right.
to contract with somebody else for that. So I think because this has come up a lot actually in the Facebook group over the years, accountants in almost all cases are qualified and indemnified to act in a particular market. And in the case of Xolo Spain, it's Spain. They know everything about Spain. They can account for your money correctly here. There are some advisors who, if you do have complex global positions, can tell you whether you should even consider being a tax resident in Spain, for example. That level of advice is something that you might want to pay for independently. But when it comes to managing everything to do with your financial matters, your taxation in Spain, then I know that Xolo can handle it. And that includes accounting for tax you've already paid somewhere else, for example. So, and
Correct.
offsetting all of that at the edges of the
Yeah.
tax boundaries, because
So
we
yeah,
are complicated. international people, if you need a financial advisor, I'm sure Xolo can point you at the correct tax advisors. So they do have people in-house, so you don't need to contract that separately, but it wouldn't be included in the autónomo package because most of us don't need that. So
Totally, yeah. So we
if
can
we
help you with the tax and advise you with the tax in Spain because our tax advisors can do that. But yeah, if there is anything specific, like financially or something specific that you need, then maybe it will help. But you can explain us like what is your situation, and then based on your situation, then we can say yes, we totally can find, I can help you, or maybe not.
I suppose maybe that's one benefit, that Spain is actually interested in your global income. That means that Xolo's advisors do have to deal with all of those international tax
Right.
treaties.
As long
Not
as it
many
is,
benefits in tax.
as long as it is reported in Spain, then we will know how to deal with it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the all important question, really, is should you try and do it yourself?
Okay, yeah, I mean, you don't always need a gestoria, so that is the truth. Okay, so if you are well versed on how the tax agency works and you want to do it by yourself, that's completely fine. That's why they also give you the draft before submitting so you can check this information. Okay, but if you're unsure and you have a complex situation, you have being an employee and an autonomo in the same year, or if there is something specific that you don't know, or maybe you need to pay and you're not sure where that amount came from, then you better check with an accountant. Because if you are a regular, let's say, or if you're used to deal with this kind of forms before, then you might be able to do it. Okay, because truth be told, if you speak Spanish and you are used to this kind of forms on the bureaucracy in Spain, then you might be able to do it yourself. Okay, especially after coming to this webinar because you already know everything about the basis. But I always tell, if you're unsure, if you don't know what you can deduct, or if there is any reduction that can be applied to your situation, and you have a complex or a mix of activities, then it would be better to check with an accountant and they can help you. But the answer is no, but
I think,
maybe it's better.
Most of my Spanish friends use a gestor, both for their annual filing and for their quarterly returns, because it's just, you can do it yourself. It's like a lot of things, you can figure out how to do it yourself. I work with a lot of freelancers just as a consultant and as a coach, and I often talk about whether you're operating in your zone of excellence or not. Now, I know sure as hell my zone of excellence is not accounts. Never will be, don't want it to be, not interested. I would much rather subcontract that entire aspect of my life to someone who knows what they're doing, is professionally trained, has those contacts, and is indemnified to provide that service to me. Then I can free up my time to work with my clients or to create content for Remote Work Europe. We're all, if we're freelancers, if we're autonomous, we're used to the fact that we have to be our own social media managers, our own administrators, our own marketing managers, our own advisors, our own strategic developers.
Everything.
Where you can, take one piece of it and give it to somebody in a trusted relationship, get that time back and the peace of mind that it's correctly addressed. There are so many minefields in Spanish accounting. I've been here many years now. I love it. I consider Spain my home. And the only way that I can function here is by subcontracting all of that side of my life. In the same way, I wouldn't try to buy a property in Spain without engaging a lawyer. I use a gestor to change a vehicle license or something, because it's just something where I know that the brain time for me and the fear of getting it wrong and the way that things can blow up on you years later, for me, it's not worth it. For you, you might measure it differently. I think I would just take a good long look at, where you have the most confidence, what are the consequences of getting it wrong, and decide what that's worth for you. And I think that's the reason that, say a lot of people I know who are either native Spanish or they've been here many years and their affairs are very straightforward, but they still use Xolo or even a local gestoria just to file stuff like this so they know it's done correctly. So,
Absolutely.
I think There are lots of arguments for and against, and it is increasingly digital now. All of the tooling that Xolo plugs into to make this smooth, to make this straightforward, that's all available on the Tributaria website and on the Hacienda. If you can make it work, if you can actually get through the error messages with your digital certificate, and it's, the moon is in the correct phase or whatever it takes sometimes to get in on the GVA and make this happen, then there's nothing to stop you. Honestly, I truly believe that. Now, do we have any other? We've got a couple of questions here, which I'm going to say you need to talk to an accountant about. So if you've asked a question and I haven't put it straight up on the board, then it could be that it's simply a case that this is a specific question about your own tax status. This is a public webinar, and these comments are coming up named. So I'm not going to expose anybody's situations personally. And there are things that you need to talk to about your accountant. But if anybody's got any more general questions about the fun of the Renta, can we just clarify the dates again, Sade? Because I know that we're nearly halfway through or a third of the way through now already.
Yeah, I mean, we are already on tax season, and I also need to clarify because I was corrected. We no longer have seats for people that are not customers for Xolo, and I'm so sorry because we started like this campaign earlier, so we can support with annual returns for our clients. So I'm so sorry about that. I completely forgot because the seats were already taken for the ones that were not customers. So if you're an autónomo and are looking for a gestoria, then we can help you with that information. And we are already in tax season. So you can do the report right now. So it started on April, 1st of April, and it lasts until June 30. Of course, you don't want to do it later than June 30 because June 30 is when when the tax agency collects the money from your account. Okay, so you don't need to wait to do it that late. June 30 is when you pay the first payment if you do installments or the split of 60-40 that we were already talking about, or if you want to pay everything that you need to pay, if you need to pay anything in one go. Okay, but the tax season is already here. So you need to do the reports. If you do it earlier, then it would be better for you. So you already know how much you will need to pay on June. All right.
Yeah, and definitely it takes time sometimes, as you work through it with your Xolo accountant, they'll be saying, well, what about this deduction? You need to go and find a factura for it. You might need to contact you. Don't try and do it at the end of June, basically, because it could end up costing you more because you can't demonstrate all the deductions that you're required to. I need to go and I know I got new specs last year. Shada just reminded me of that 10 minutes ago as she was speaking. I have no clue where the factura is for that. So I'm probably going to have to email the optician now. I don't know if she even gave me a proper factura, but if I do that now, then, I know I'll be able to include it as a deduction. I hope. Obviously, I need to check my region and everything else.
And if you have pets, exactly. Or if you have gym pass. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I will check everything on my own community. I already know that. I can tell you, if you live in Barcelona, those are not things that you can deduct because I live in Barcelona. And, well,
yeah, yes, we definitely don't get animals in Valencia, but whatever you can get, and this is where an accountant is ultimately going to save you money because they will take you through all of this. Now, I'm aware we're right at the top of the hour. I hope that everybody who's joined us today has learned something, even if it's only helped to refocus you on this deadline. It's out there. April is nearly gone. That's 1/3 of the filing time. And as we said, don't leave it till the end of June. Contract your Renta with Xolo, especially if you're switching to Xolo in Q2. Again, that is the end of the quarter as well. So there is plenty of time for you to switch your affairs to Xolo for Q2 and therefore be able to contract with Xolo for your Renta for 2025. But do be aware that the accountants it's a small team of excellent professional accountants who take great care of their clients. So they're already deeply involved with existing clients. We would love you to come and join them, but don't try and join them on the 29th of June. I strongly recommend. So get your application in early, and it will be lovely to have you as part of the Xolo Spain clientele. of whom I have been one for, I'm now into my second quarter. So if you have any questions at all, just ask me in the Remote Work Spain group. I'm going to be doing my own Renta hopefully by the end of the week, if I can get what I need from HMRC and the opticians. If not, I'll be doing it next week. So I will provide an update in the group on what my own experience is of filing the Renta for the first time with Xolo, because I think it's really important. I want to be completely transparent that I'm recommending a service because I use it and because of what I've gained from it. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any more questions that haven't been answered, either just email Xolo, sign up with them, ask their accountants directly, or if it's something general and public, just pop it in the social media wherever you're watching this stream right now. Shade, thank you so much for joining us, for taking your time here to explain this to the Remote Work Spain audience. This has been really, really helpful. It's been great to have you with us here today. And thank you everybody for watching today or for watching the recording later.
Thank you, guys, and everyone. So just we will for you. So if you need anything, just join us and we'll take care of everything.